Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Interest to Income session for artists, where we will be showcasing and demonstrating the new sales pipeline feature. This is a brand new feature for us, so we're really excited today to showcase this with you all. My name is Anna, and as everyone is joining, feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. Excuse me. If you want to let us know your name, where you're logging in from, the kind of art you make. We just love hearing where everyone is from. We have users from all over the entire world, so it's really cool to see where everyone is logging in from. And if you also want to let us know how long you've been with Artwork Archive or your familiarity with Artwork Archive. Helen from Chicago, she is a painter and a sculptor. Thank you so much for coming. Wow, that is a breadth of mediums as well. That's really interesting. And also too, if you're coming in and saying hi, also be sure to, if you want everyone to see your message, select the everyone button, not just hosts and panelists, so everyone can see your message. Here come all the messages. Here we go. We got Glinda, works with several Canadian artists. Jean is a collage artist in Miami, Florida. Michael from the Denver area. And I've been using Artwork Archive for just over a year. Fantastic. Cindy's also from Chicago. Amazing. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you're all here. This is so cool. Hi. This is amazing. Look at all of these messages coming from all over the place. New York, Michigan. It's coming in so fast, I can't even read it in enough time. So for those of you who are familiar enough with Artwork Archive, which looks like based on the chat, we have quite a few people who have been with us for a while. We might have some newer people here with us today who maybe aren't as familiar. But if you know us, you know that we take user product suggestions or requests really seriously, and it's actually 99% of the catalyst for any new updates we bring. So today's webinar, the feature we're going over today is, again, the sales pipeline. This is a new feature that was born based on input that we gathered from you guys writing in, emailing us, whether it's an email or chat, letting us know, hey, this would be a great feature. I, as an artist, am constantly trying to put together proposals and track them, and then also track the contacts that's affiliated with it, and then the updates in the proposal, and then the invoice section, all of the entire flow of a sales pipeline from first inquiry to the final payment. That is something that you guys have been really requesting for to us for a little bit. So we wanted to make sure that we did a webinar just based on this new really exciting feature because we know you guys are also very excited about it as well. And again, we know our company is mostly comprised of artists or art professionals. And so this is a feature that is built by artists for artists. We are artists like you. And so this is something that we think would be incredibly helpful. And we hope that today's webinar is a great little kind of dip in the pool and getting, familiar with this new feature. So the sales pipeline is designed to help you manage and progress your art sales further and more efficiently with all these different tools embedded. And while we wait for everyone to join, again, keep using the chat, introducing yourselves, but I do want to quickly also introduce ourselves as well. My name is Anna, and I am the user support lead here at Artwork Archive. I am, again, an artist myself. I'm a painter and a mixed media artist based in Birmingham, Alabama. I have my master's in fine arts, and I also coach other artists through our 101s and our 201 sessions like this one. And I'm also, you'll see me in the chat or an email if you're ever reaching out to us. So I'm happy to talk with you guys further with any follow-up questions you might have. Also on with me today, I have two colleagues. Lauren is also our customer support specialist. You'll probably see her a good bit as well in the chat or an email if you're ever reaching out to us. And she is also an expert on the features we're going over today. And she is based in San Jose, Costa Rica, and she is a printmaker and mixed media artist herself, also has a master's in fine arts. And then also with us is our expert product education expert is Anamika. She is on with us, also an expert on these topics that we're going over today. And both Lauren and Anamika are in the chat kind of monitoring it, but also specifically in the Q&A. So please feel free to send any of your questions in the Q&A as well. And so just like you guys, like I said, we're from all over the world. So I'm in Alabama, Lauren's in Costa Rica, Anamika's in Oregon. So we're kind of all spread out, and I like that we're all here together from everywhere that we're logging in from. And also, while we're getting started, this will be it's a 1 hour session, so we might go through all of this information not super quickly, but it'll be a jam-packed of information. So if you need to grab a notepad or the Notes app on your phone, or if you do have an Artwork Archive account with us already, you can log in and kind of keep up with us that way if you'd like to kind of follow along within your account. Otherwise, we are recording this session and we will be sharing the recording in a follow-up email after the webinar, about 24 to 48 hours after the webinar, depending on how quickly I can get all the materials together. So if you'd rather kind of sit back, relax, and just sort of take in all the information as it comes within this 1 hour session, that's fantastic as well. And then to access captions, if you would like to have captions shown during the live webinar, you can click the Show Captions button in your Zoom menu. And then, of course, keep using the chat to talk with your peers, do your introductions, share things you're excited about as we go over today's webinar. But if you have any specific questions about the content that we're going over, please be sure to use that Q&A button that is in the Zoom menu. The reason being is the chat, as you can see, is super engaging and super fun, but of course, questions can get lost in the chat. And so you want to make sure we're not missing any of your questions. And that way, too, we have a hub of questions that we can reference. And like I said before, too, is 99% of our updates that we create are based on requests from our users. So if you're wanting to ask any questions, we will reference those for anything you have more questions about that we can update in our platform to make it even more powerful for you. So please put that in the Q&A button, and Anamika and Lauren will be answering those questions live. So no need to wait till the end to put your questions in. You can do it throughout the entire webinar, so they'll be kind of responding to you live. And then we'll also be saving some time at the end for a live Q&A as well. So we'll save some of those questions for the live audible response portion of towards the end. And then if we don't get to your questions, we'll try our very, very best to, but I know it's a really hot topic, so you might get a lot of questions. And if we don't get to them, we will follow up with any of you who have left your email in your questions after the webinar. And if you still would like to follow up with even more questions, you can always, always, always reach out to us via email at team@artworkarchive.com, or you can chat with us live with that little chat icon on the bottom right of artworkarchive.com. We don't use any robots or AI, so you're gonna get probably one of the three of us on the other end responding to you. So you're always gonna get a real human being, and isn't that exciting? Okay, so that was some housekeeping stuff. Today's session, again, is about something that we know a lot of artists are asking themselves, or should I say ourselves, and it is, how do I turn that I'm interested inquiry into a actual sale, a final sale? And so that's where the sales pipeline comes in. This new feature is designed to help you confidently move through the sales pipeline using your CRM, which is your customer relationship management tools, along with your invoicing, your proposals, and your sales tracking tools as well, all within one place. It's a one-stop shop in a way, if you will. And then after today's session, you will leave knowing how to, I have a few bullet points here that I think are really helpful, just to kind of do a pre-cap of the information we're going over today. You'll be able to track and nurture the leads. So that's all of your clients, your customers are coming in that you're creating these proposals for. Create professional proposals as well that are streamlined, super easy to create, just a few clicks with the pieces already in your account, and you're done, and you can send it along. You can guide client records through your sales pipeline using those CRM tools, so from beginning to finish, and then turning interest into income and building a sustainable sales pipeline that helps you sell more art with less stress, but also is a repeatable process. And that is something I want to make sure is pretty clear too, is this is the sales pipeline is a repeatable flow. So you don't having to recreate this information each time or figure out what's the next step to make sure I'm putting my best foot forward and presenting this proposal or presenting this invoice and this sales process with the client. And so not only are they taking me seriously, but they know that I value them as a customer. So these are all the different kind of little tidbits of information we're going to be going over today. And if you are brand new, I know we have some that have been with us for a year, maybe 5 years, maybe more. But if you are brand new, just know that this is a session for people who already have their artwork in their account. So they've already kind of started. They're familiar with most, if not all, of the features. But feel free to stay. We don't want you to leave. You can definitely stay if you want to, but just know that we do also have a 101 session that we host bi-weekly. So sorry, my brain just stopped working for a second. You can click on this button here in the follow-up email in the presentation materials, or Lauren, if you wouldn't mind, if you could also include a hyperlink to, or a link to the 101 registration page. So if you're new and you want a kind of high-level overview of all the features available, that is a great place to go, because we're going to go over all the features and getting your stuff into your account, all of your data into your account. And then, of course, you can always revisit this recording later as well if you need to reference the specifics of the sales pipeline. Now, before we continue on, I do want to do a quick poll. This is, again, it's a hot topic, so I want to make sure that we're kind of seeing where everyone is at, what we're thinking, how we're feeling about sales as artists. So Lauren, if you could pop up our poll today, that'd be great. It's a one question poll. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a second to look at these different multiple choice answers you can choose from. And the question is, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to selling your work? So it could be following the follow-up. It could be the first step, which is the creation of sending the proposals and creating the proposals. Maybe it's managing the client information. Maybe it's doing the full, pipeline of taking that interest and getting that final payment. Maybe it's, finding those interested buyers out there somewhere in the woodwork of the art world, or staying organized through the entire process. Organization is a big part of creating and making sales. So that's also a really big, important feature as well. Thank you. I see Lauren also included the 101 link in the chat as well. So if you would like to click on that link, you will have that there. And I'll also be including that link as well in the follow-up email. But all right, so I see we have a lot of interest here in the finding interested buyers and then turning interest into actual payments. And then third follow-up one here is staying organized through the whole process. And that is a really big one that we'll be going over today. So Lauren, if you want to go ahead and stop that poll and then share with everyone so they can see the results. And so now y'all should see kind of, your answers plus, the peers that you have in the audience today that have responded here. So it's just a really interesting thing to see where everyone's head is at and how we're thinking going into this information. All right, you can stop sharing that poll and I'll go back into the slides here. Thank you so much. All right. So I went over some basic information. Just one more kind of intro into this is if you've been on one of our 101 introduction webinar sessions for artists, you've heard this spiel from me before, but I'm going to do a very quick version here just for revisiting or new people. Artwork Archive began in 2010 as one of our first cloud-based art inventory management systems, and we have since grown significantly to also include collection management as well. So we started for artists, but we also have collector and organization accounts as well. So if you find yourself maybe sort of fitting into those other categories, this session will also be great for you as well, because the sales pipeline is also part of the organization account type as well. So feel free to take in this information and know that it is also applicable to the organization account type as well if you find yourself more on the arts organization side of the coin. So that is sort of a very brief history of Artwork Archive, but I do want to mention to our, beliefs from day one. The reason for even creating Artwork Archive from day one has been pretty simple, and it is to help artists stay organized, grow their careers, and share their art with the world. So that is the catalyst for all of these different features, including today's sales pipeline. And we spent the last decade building a platform that not only helps you track your inventory, but it also helps you convert interest into sales. You're building and maintaining those important relationships. So creating new ones, but also nurturing those existing ones are really important because our collectors, our buyers, are supporting us as artists. They're supporting our art career. So it's really important to maintain those relationships. And creating professional proposals and invoices is a great way to do that. And also streamlining your entire sales process. So from the initial inquiry to that final payment in the income. And then today we're going to be focusing on features that help you move from interest to income again. So when you're selling your work to returning or new collectors, new buyers, it should be exciting. It should not be stressful or overwhelming. This is when you're selling your artwork, it is so exciting. And it's also nice to have that connection with your collector. They're interested in your work and you're talking about it, you're collaborating about it, and being able to make that sale is a very exciting moment. So we want to make sure we're helping you guys out. The reason for us creating this sales pipeline and for doing this webinar is to introduce the idea that we can help take off some of that stress and the overwhelm that you might have when it comes to that entire process of handling that back and forth with the client. And so we are going to be touching a little bit on CRM, and CRM is simply contact relationship management or collector client relationship management. This is really the memory bank, as it says here, is the memory bank of everyone who matters, who is even in the periphery of your art career. It can be your collectors and your buyers, or it can be, framers and shippers. The circle widens as you think of all the people who are touching your art career. And then also I want to mention, we're also going to be going over invoices as well. So the sales pipeline has a few different sub menu items in there, which I will show you in the demo in a little bit, but we're going to be going over invoices as well. So that is a definite, really important part of the sales pipeline, but also just, creating the sale, putting it out there, and then making sure that your client is feeling like they are being seen and heard throughout the entire process and that you're involved with them throughout that entire process. So with that said, I've talked about it. Let's get into the demo. I'm going to now go back into the Zoom here and share my other screen. Hi, sorry, I got distracted by all of the chat. It's just so exciting to see everyone's excitement about about this. I just love that the two Patricias are talking. That's amazing. Okay, so I'm going to share my artwork archive screen. So y'all should see now, this is one of our artist demo accounts. So when you log in, of course, you're on the pieces page. This is where we're landing. This is where we're starting. So if you have been with us for a while, you may have noticed on the left side menu, some things have changed. There's been a slight tweak in the formatting and the visuals here. And that one I'm referring to is here, the sales pipeline. So when I click on the sales pipeline, you'll see it takes me immediately to sales and donations. So this is kind of the overview, tracking finished or in progress sales and donations, particularly sales that we're talking about today. So this is where you can see all the information and manage and view that information. But also within the sales pipeline, underneath that in the sub menu here, we have proposals, invoices, and of course, sales and donations. So proposals, that's for creating professional offers for your clients. Invoices is for generating and tracking billing documentation, as well as paying digitally online, which I will get into in a little bit as well. And then of course, like I said before, sales and donations. So let's start with proposals. That is the most brand new, most exciting thing that we're here for today. So I'm going to start with proposals. So I know we talked a lot about in the poll results, I saw a lot of people being interested in finding clients, but also in organizing and managing that from beginning to finish. So think of this portion, the proposals, as the beginning. You can even look at sales pipeline as a ABC step. We're starting with proposals, we're going to invoices, and then we're finishing up with sales and donations. And along the way through that entire chain, we're using contacts here, our CRM, to sprinkle in knowledge about our client along the way that we can update and track so that we're making sure we are, nurturing that relationship throughout the entire process. So there are a few different kind of role play things I want to do today. One is I want to present the proposal through the eyes of an artist who is creating a proposal from a client for a request for purchase. So I've already created a proposal here, but I'm going to show you real quick on the back end just so you can see before I get into a finished proposal that's been created. I'm going to show you the back end of it. So I'm going to click on New Proposal here. When you are creating a new proposal, you will need to select a client. So you can select one that's already in your account under your contacts. They will all be listed here, and you can start typing in their name here just to kind of quickly find someone here. So I'm going to type in Beverly. You can also create a new contact. So if the person that you're wanting to select this for is not yet in your account, you can create a new contact directly from here as well. And then, of course, give your proposal a name. So for instance, if this is a request for purchase, I'm going to do RFP for Beverly. Excuse me. And we're starting off as a draft, so that's going to be the default. You're starting the proposal off as a draft. But if you select here, you'll see the drop-down menu has all these different options that you can choose from, as well as a valid until date. So you can select any date here. And this just provides a sense of urgency for the client. It's not pushy, but it's a way to say, for this to continue going forward, I would need to know by this date, or this is the deadline for having this proposal accepted and approved by you. So it just gives them something, it gives the client something to work off of, some kind of goal to work off of. And then the notes section here, you can put anything in here. It's a free type field. You can type in anything you would like. If you've been doing proposals for a while, maybe in a Word doc or in any other, or Google Doc, any kind of written format, you can also copy and paste your agreement terms. If you use terms for your artist agreements often, you can copy and paste those here and kind of reformat them specifically for this proposal and for this client. And then another thing that you'll need to also be sure to include in this proposal is selecting the piece or pieces for this proposal. So this one is a request for purchase. So this is a client that I am creating this proposal for. We've touched base. Maybe they've reached out via public profile and they've requested a purchase there. Maybe they've responded to a private room that I sent them, and they said, yes, I'm interested in this piece and this piece. And now I'm taking that private room collaboration, that back and forth with my client, and creating a proposal from their favorites or from their comments or from their request for purchase. And so now I know exactly which pieces they're interested in. And so now the question is, which ones are they wanting to purchase? Maybe they're looking at it in terms of a collection. Maybe they're all going to be hung together somewhere. So this way I'm able to give them a visual of just these pieces in a very focused format of the proposal. So you can also, of course, just like any other, creating private rooms or reports, any of these other features, you can use the show filters button here to narrow down your search for all of the pieces in your inventory, including additions or original pieces. So for example, if I do collections, I can select, works on canvas, and I'll scroll down and see that I have now 6 pieces here. So if this person was interested in all 6 pieces on canvas, I can select all 6 and have them all go into my right side column, or I can also select one by one and add them over there. I'm gonna click add all 5 and so this is now I've finished putting my proposal together, and now I can click create proposal. I'm gonna click excuse me, cancel for now. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Thank you so much for your patience with my throat is not operating today. So yeah, I'm gonna click leave there. And now we're going back, back on the proposals page. So I want to show you too, when I am working on these proposals, there's a few little kind of navigational tools on this page. One is I can do a proposal search. So say you've been creating a bunch of proposals, you are busy, you are working, you are hustling. You can easily search for your proposals by name, or if you labeled it in a certain way or for a certain client, you can search there. You can also filter proposals by date, by client, so whichever client you've had proposals for, or by status. So any of the status options that are available within the proposal itself, so you can kind of sift through that. You can also use this sort button here at the top to sort based on different criteria that you want to have them, the order to be sorted in a certain way. And then also I want to point out too, beside each of these proposals, you'll see we have these action buttons. And these action buttons, you can view, generate an invoice directly from the proposal, which is amazing. It's a full flow of beginning to finish. You can also edit or delete. So let me go into now, I mentioned kind of a role play scenario. So now I'm going to go into the idea of an artist. I did show you the back end. This is the artist who is preparing a proposal for request for purchase. So I'm going to go to this one. So this client, Aurelia and I have been working together, say she reached out via a private room that I sent her, and she said, I want these 3 pieces. And I said, this proposal lists references to favorite work selected in a studio visit in a private room. So we met in person. I also sent her a private room afterwards. So we've been collaborating. We've been talking for a little bit here. So that's that whole, in the poll we talked about, like, what part of the process of the sales process are people talking about. And some of the responses were it's the getting from that interest, from that initial like, oh, that's nice, I like that piece, to following through all the way. And so this is part of that process, is giving them documentation and things to visit, making them feel like a VIP collector because they are, and using it with these tools as a really streamlined way to do that. So here you can also select reminders for this proposal. So this one, for instance, I've selected to include a journal reminder at 1 week to check in with this proposal. I can also send a follow-up email send up the follow-up email from the proposal to this client as well. And to create these reminders, I just go up to the top here and I'm selecting add reminder. And this is adding a reminder based on the date and the message I select here specifically for this proposal. And it is also being tracked within that contact record as well. And I'll show you that in a second as well too. So also, if you're looking here at the top, while we're at the top menu here, I can edit the proposal. I can also generate the invoice directly from within that proposal detail page. And I can also share it directly here. So when I click share, just like sharing a private room or a report, I can share, it will automatically select the contact that is already affiliated with that proposal. But if I want to send it to, their spouse as well, who's also going to be part of the purchase, or their coworker, or maybe it's, a whole board of people, I can include other email addresses and contacts here as well. And then, of course, send it along. Scrolling down here a little bit further, you can see these are the pieces that have been included in this proposal. So these are the ones that they are interested in purchasing. So now I'm going to, again, we're doing a role play of this. So now I'm going to say, we've been talking for a little bit. I'm going to go into edit this invoice and say, we've been negotiating. It was on the negotiating phase. Now I'm saying that I have invoiced them. I've sent them an invoice. When I select update proposal, you'll see it says invoiced. So now you don't have to do that before, but I'm doing that now just to cross my T's and dot my I's, make sure I'm not forgetting any of the status options along the way. So I'm going to click generate invoice from this proposal directly. I'm going to say, it's going to ask you first, are you sure? Because once you create an invoice from the proposal, it's going to mark those pieces that are affiliated with it as sold. So they'll have their own sales registrations for those pieces. So I'm going to say, yes, we are ready to move forward with this. And so now I'm on the brand new invoice that has been auto-generated, auto-created from the details already in that proposal that is affiliated with that contact record. So you don't have to repeat any of this information in the contact record within those piece records. It's already being created for you. So I can see here it's included their contact information, important dates for the invoice, and a due date based on the proposal dates. And then, of course, the pieces themselves. And here you can see it is also auto calculating the total cost. And I can also manually add a payment here. I'm going to go into edit this invoice. And here I can also select for artist professional and master account types, or levels, I should say. Artist professional and master account types levels can also include digital payment processing. So this is where your client can pay online digitally. And then for the artist apprentice account level, you can create a PDF version of the invoice and then send it directly from your account or download it and share it via email. And then they can pay in any other kind of payment format, whether that's another payment app or cash, check, whichever you prefer, whichever they prefer. So here to include the digital payment processing, I'm going to go to include payment buttons. I'm going to select yes and say, I've opted to offer them a payment plan. So they're going to pay in installments. So I can say, yes, we're also going to allow for partial payments as well. And this is a pending payment. So we have not received any payment yet. So it's still pending. And then, of course, you can also include a shipping cost if there's a shipping cost. If you want to add another sale that is an existing sales record, or you want to create a new sales record from one of your piece records, you can also do that here. You can also add an invoice line item. So if they attended a workshop you hosted or any other kind of non-piece specific sales item, you can include that line item here as well. Okay, I'm going to now say save invoice. And when I do that, you'll see that these buttons are now changed over to enabled. And I can also preview the invoice directly from here. And here I'm seeing what my client is seeing on their end. And then if I click continue here, you'll see that the client has the option to pay via PayPal, debit, or credit card. And we do go over some of these more specifics on setting up that digital payment processing in the Getting Started 101 training sessions for artists. So if you have any more questions on that, let us know in the Q&A. And you can also sign up for that webinar because we go into more of a overview of setting that kind of information up and how that all works. Okay, back over here now. You can also send the invoice directly, just like with the proposal. You can send the invoice directly from your account here. So I'm going to do send web invoice. Again, the contact that's affiliated with it is already automatically added, but you can, of course, add anyone else you want to add, including external email addresses if you want to include them. But I will say, you can do external email addresses. We highly, and I also personally, highly recommend sharing with contact records, because when you share an invoice or a proposal or a report, any of these other shareable items within your account, the system is automatically tracking those shared items within that contact record. I'm going to show you what I mean actually right now. So I'm going to click out of that. I'm going to go to this contact. Well, actually, I'm going to go to view proposal. I can click directly on this contact record so I can see her full information. So here's the contact that I've been working with. This is the person who's buying those 3 pieces. I sent in the proposal. She's agreed to the terms. I've invoiced her, and now we're just kind of waiting on that payment to come in. So now I can go down through this contact record, and I just want to point out, I have not manually added any of these items to this contact record. The system is doing it for me. So after I create the proposal and I generate the invoice, it is automatically showing here that I have shared this proposal with this contact. And if I ever need to reference oh, what exactly was in that proposal, I can always click view and reference what details that I shared with them. And of course, just like any other kind of CRM stuff, which we will in the somewhat near future have a CRM contact management webinar that goes into more specifics and a deeper dive into this section of the platform. But just like with any other contact record, you can include these general notes. And of course, the proposal itself is also being tracked in the contact record. So I can see the status. I can see which phase of the proposal process that this client's proposal is in, which is fantastic. And then once they have finished, once they've, submitted their payments, I can also see down here their past acquisitions, their past purchases here as well. And then of course, if I want to attach any documents, if I want to download anything, so if I created an agreement externally, I can attach that here. Or if I want to include a report that I shared with them, I can also include it here for any reason. I could do that. So that is just to give you a glance of how the system is relational, how it's talking to itself when I'm creating this one thing and I'm assigning a contact or a piece record to these different tools like the proposals and the invoices. The system is automatically tracking all of this for me, which is incredible. So I do want to take a quick second here just to kind of check in, see how everyone is doing. I know it's a lot of information at once, and I'm going to get into that kind of second role play here in a little bit, talking about creating a commission within a proposal. But I want to see how everyone is doing. Give me a thumbs up or a wave. Make sure you're inputting any of your questions in the Q&A. I see we got lots of questions incoming here that I know Anamika and Lauren are saving some for the live Q&A, but I do just want to kind of look to see everyone is good. So I see Renee gave me a little hands up. I got some sounds good so far from Michelle. Yay from Leslie. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it. Fantastic. Just want to make sure I know it's a lot of information, but again, this is being recorded. So you will also get to review this later at any point. Okay, continuing on. Thank you so much. Y'all are so engaged and helpful to have in the chat here. Okay, so I'm gonna go back over now. So that was the end of that kind of role play. Now I am sort of shifting gears. I'm still taking on the role of artist, and I'm going back into sales pipeline. Now this is for a different client. So I'm gonna go into proposals. So this Beverly client, I've made this this proposal here. This is a commission. I'm going to actually show you beginning to finish creating a full commission one here. So when you're creating a new proposal, you have to select a piece record to go into it. So the question might be if, I'm working with a client and we are we've collaborated a little bit on the kind of commission they want. Maybe it's, you know, a portrait that they're working on. I'm just saying that because this is one of our demo accounts and has a lot of portraits in it, but of course it can be any medium, any kind of artwork you work in. But say they reach out and they're interested in an oil painting portrait. And I say, okay, so obviously the piece has not been created yet. So we don't have a piece record for it yet. So what I'll want to do is I'm actually going to go back up here to artwork. And I'm going to create a placeholder piece record. So I'm going to select new piece. I'm just selecting one. Of course, you can bulk create piece records. I'm just going to create one right now because it is our placeholder. And the only required field is the title. So I don't need all this information yet if I don't have it. So for now, I'm going to say the title for this piece is Commission for Beverly. I don't have an image yet because I haven't created it. But if at this point you may have had, you know, a preliminary sketch, you could include an image of the sketch here, and then you can always come back and update this piece record with any update images that you have along the way of this whole commission journey. So that way you can also share it with your client as well. But for now, I'm not going to include any images here yet, just because we're still in this super, super early stages of getting this commission proposal going. So I've only included the title so far. And say, you know, I know for sure we're definitely going to be doing oil on canvas, so I'll select that as the medium. And this status of this piece is going to be in progress. So I'm going to select the in progress status here. We haven't made it yet, we're still working on it. And this is a great way for me to be able to filter and search for any pieces that are in progress on my pieces page as well. So I'm going to say that's it for now. I'm not going to put any other information yet because we're still working on some of those details. So I'm going to say create piece. And just to kind of show you guys here too. So this is the sort of placeholder empty piece record that I'm going to use for this proposal. But just to show you too, when I go back to the pieces page, if I ever need to quickly find that piece record, I can always go status, the drop down, and look for in progress. And then I can find my in progress piece records. And so I can go in here and update with any new images or any new information about this commission piece. So I'm going to go back over to sales pipeline now, proposals, and I'm going to create a new proposal. So this client, again, I'm using Beverly as the client. This is a commission portrait. We are negotiating, or we've submitted, I'll say right now at this point we've submitted this. We're still working on some of the details about this particular piece that I'm making for her. So I'm gonna say, you know, I'm gonna give her till, you know, the middle of June perhaps. And then here's where I can copy and paste and put in my agreement terms for how I usually work with commissions with a client. And then I'm gonna go here to show filters. And of course I'm gonna use the status button to filter, select in progress. And then I can find that piece record here and say add. And so now I have this one placeholder piece record. This is all I need for this proposal. So I'm going to click create proposal. And so here we have now finished putting this together. So now I can share this proposal directly with Beverly. I can click send here. I'm not going to do that just yet, but I could send that here. I can also add a reminder here to, you know, next week, say, check in about dimensions, for instance. Say we're working on, you know, talking about exactly how large she wants this piece to be, where it's being hung. So we're kind of talking about those specifics. So now if I go back over to Beverly here, I can see that, you know, I've got two commission proposals going for her. This one here is a new one that I just created. It is submitted. And so I'm able to kind of track that information here as well. I'm gonna go back over here. And so say, you know, I finished, you know, creating, we've gone back and forth, I've shared some more information, I've been updating the piece record, then I can go in and say, we're going to edit this and say we're going to do, it has been fully paid, it's invoiced. I'm going to click update proposal so that for my own sake, I see that it is a paid thing, and now I can generate the invoice from here. Actually, at this point, I'm sorry, I would do invoice first, generate the invoice, and then when I generate the invoice, I'm going to go here to, let's do a release, for instance. I'm going to go to this invoice down here. I can actually include a manual payment. So I can add a payment here. So say they have finished fully paying this. I'm going to add the full amount here and click save. And so now you can see that it has been paid. It is marked as paid here in the invoice for me. Maybe they paid via check, they didn't pay online. That's totally fine, whichever way they prefer. I am a flexible artist based on whatever my client needs. So I'm going back over to invoices and I can see it has now been marked as paid, but of course you can see my other invoices here are either partial or pending as well. And you can also, of course, create an invoice directly from the invoices page. But for this sake of this presentation, we're showing you the full flow from beginning to end. So I'm showing you from proposal, creating the invoice within the proposal itself. And then once that has been paid, I'm now able to go into my sales/donations tab and see the finished payment. So say, for instance, I want to see a relay, I can go here and see which pieces have been sold here, track the dates, and I can also, of course, go here to new report, and I can export as a sales report or a spreadsheet. So, you know, if the client wants to see any kind of documentation of their sales, I can send that to them, or if I'm working with my accountant for tax purposes, I can also get out of this particular filter and send them a full report of the year to date. So that is kind of the full artist side. So the client experience, once they have, you know, played through all of that, they're going to be receiving these different documentations from you. They're also going to be getting emails that they have a new invoice or a new proposal sent directly from you, and then you'll be able to communicate with them. So speaking of CRM, I'm going to go back over to contacts now. So you've seen kind of how it works with the sales pipeline. Within the contacts, again, we'll be doing a full kind of run through of the contacts feature on another date, but just to know, since we're kind of sprinkling in some contacts information, the contacts page is where you can store all of your professional contacts. So it's clients, curators, gallerists, shippers, framers, etc. You can also organize people into groups. So if you're sending, you know, proposals to a group of people, you can also very quickly and easily select the group you want to send it to. You can also set reminders for follow-ups within the contact record and of course also within the proposals and invoices as well. And you can add notes for conversations, which are super helpful. And I think maybe one of the more underutilized features of a contact record, because you want to keep up with that contact and nourishing those relationships. So a few little practical applications here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go back over into my slideshow here. Okay, so a few other little practical things I want to share with you guys. When you meet someone at art fair who's interested in your work, for instance, you can create a contact record. When you're adding them as a contact to your CRM, you can include notes about which pieces they liked, put together a private room, share that with them, and then also share with them the proposal once you've agreed on kind of the next steps for that process. Setting reminders. When they respond positively, you can convert that proposal into an invoice with just one click. As you saw before, I just clicked generate invoice and I've already created the invoice. And then after the sale, the system does automatically update their contact record to show that they are now a collector. You'll see that they have past purchases and acquisitions already, not having to chase this information around or remember certain details. It's tracking the information for you, so you don't have to do double entry, which is a fantastic time saver. And then, of course, you can also, I recommend setting a reminder to also check in with the client after some time has passed after the purchase, maybe 6 months after the purchase. Say, you know, I've been working on some more pieces. I, you know, finished this one and I thought it was really similar to some of the interest you had in these other pieces. Just wanted to share it with you. So, you know, this is part of the nurturing process, this back and forth, sharing reports with them, sharing private rooms. Even after a purchase has been completed, it doesn't have to stop there. You can continue nurturing that relationship and sharing things with them. And then I also want to get into just a quick little recap of what we went over today. So the power of the professionalism here is you're taking your work seriously with these different tools. You're also showing your client or your clients that you're valuing their interest by putting your best foot forward in these really professional ways, and that you run a legitimate art business. This is, you're a career artist, you're a professional artist. This is how they should expect that you operate. Your prices are justified and you respect their time and your own by not having to do double entry and not having to recreate this information each time. So I also want to just mention some best practices for getting the most out of these tools. I recommend updating the proposal stage promptly as soon as they progress. Add detailed notes after each client interaction. Set specific times to review your active proposal so you can create a reminder for yourself within that proposal. And then the email address associated with your account will send you an email of, hey, this week or today, don't forget you wanted to review this proposal to see where it stands and see if you need to reach back out to that client. You can also, of course, use contact groups, schedule regular follow-ups with the past collectors, and track which proposals led to sales, maybe which didn't, and kind of track some of those insights and see ways to move forward with these clients. Okay, so that is a lot of information. I see that we are at the 15-minute mark. I could of course keep going, but I do want a quick check-in and see what kind of questions we have. I have quickly put up our pricing, but I will go over into this in a little bit. Lauren, do we have any specific questions that people are asking when it comes to the sales pipeline?
Yes, thank you for making that space. And I do want to remind everybody that we will be getting to all the questions that you have sent if you have your email associated with them. Some of them are anonymous, so we're unable to get to them. And you can always reach us via chat or email, and we'll be more than happy to answer those for you. We've just received so many. We're so grateful. You're such an active audience. Thank you so, so much for that. But for now, we do have a really good question that I would love to dive into a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, and it has to do with why would I need to create proposals, right? If I can just directly invoice a client. So maybe talk about a little bit some of the
Yeah.
examples of how artists can use this new feature, such as custom artwork commissions, funding, or grant proposals, those kinds of things, maybe approaching venues for shows.
Yeah, that's a great question. The why is something that, I figure we might have the question on, which is, first of all, this is something that a lot of people have been asking about, but also like something that us as artists know that artists use is we do create proposals. So some of the use case scenarios could be someone requesting to purchase, like I showed earlier. It could be someone reaching out about a commission, like I showed earlier. It could also be, there are open calls for city facilities looking to purchase, and they do require proposals, or it's not going to be just straight to invoice, especially if you're nurturing these clients, if you're nurturing these relationships with your contacts. Part of that nurturing is giving that room for breathing. It's giving that room for showing, here's the pieces that we agreed on. I just want to show you here that I'm showcasing the details of these pieces because the pieces that you're sharing within the proposal, actually, let me share that real quick now that I'm talking about it. Let me go back into, if I can find it, here it is. Let me go back into the platform. I'm gonna go back into the sales pipeline proposals. I just realized I never showed you guys a proposal from the client's view. So I'm gonna show you this one, for example. So this is the one that was a request for purchase, but when I go to visit here, I can visit this, and this is the view that the client will see when they receive the share proposal. So they're seeing the details I've included, any details I've included, such as agreement terms or any other notes about this collaboration with this client. They'll see that here. And then they will also see any detailed information about the pieces. So they'll see the original price, any dimensions I might have listed. So if they need a quick reference for all the pieces that we may have talked about in person, but we didn't have written communication back and forth, even in an email, it's a great place to have them in one place. And also sometimes I personally don't prefer to share these high resolution finished images of my artwork through email to clients. I prefer to send it in a more protected way. So this way they're only able to see these finalized images here in this sort of one-stop shop. So they're not having, I don't think that they're not able to download the images because we've disabled the right click option. So this is also protecting my my image security as an artist. This is protecting those copyrights as well. So by doing this, it's all in one place. They can get a quick overview of these three pieces, say they're wanting to hang them together. This is a way for them to kind of see how they work together just visually. And then also too, once they get the proposal, they can also access the invoice here once you've created the invoice. So they can also kind of bounce back and forth between each and see any of the information you've included in the proposal, and then of course in the invoice as well. There are a lot of different use case scenarios that I think are possible with a proposal. So this is something that we create. It's very brand new, like I said. And of course, we're always updating, we're always evolving. So we highly welcome and appreciate any product requests from users. So if you think, this is something I use proposals this way currently, here's what I would like to see. We would love to talk to you about that. Please write into us at team@artworkarchive.com, or you can also chat with us live. We want to hear from you. And because, like I said, this is something that is new that we're sharing with you all, that we're excited about. And so if you have different ways of using that proposal process or the sales pipeline process, let us know, because this is for you. This is not just for us kind of, scratching an itch for us, because of course we're artists too. It is a little bit, but it's also, this is a tool that artists using all different kinds of medium and working in all different kinds of capacities can access and use based on how their art career and their art practice is already moving. So I hope that kind of gives you a point of reference of the point of view of how and why we created the sales pipeline, but also to our openness to requests for any way to further evolve the proposal pipeline. I hope that answers that question. I think I kind of rambled a little bit there, but I think that should hopefully answer the question.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. It definitely does
Yeah.
answer the question. We do have some other questions related to proposals, but maybe more indirectly.
Okay.
For example, we have gotten this question a couple of times regarding how to connect an invoice to a client. Um, Maybe you can talk a little bit about how that gets done directly
Yeah.
with the proposals.
Yeah. Real quick too, speaking of which, I just saw that Patricia in the chat said that she just made an invoice template. That's fantastic. So I,
Oh,
I like that you kind of like following along with us along the way and getting excited about these different things. So let me go back into invoices here. So like I said before, you can generate an invoice directly from that proposal, like I showed before, but you can also create an invoice kind of standalone. So that first question you asked, if why not go straight into invoice? You can. That is absolutely an option. And it's something that was already an option prior to this, and it's also something that's still an option now. So if you prefer to not use the proposal process for any reason, totally, totally fine, a very valid way to work as well. So to do that, you would go to, of course, your sales pipeline, you would select invoices, new invoice, and then just like proposals, you do need to select a contact to affiliate with it. So you can either select a contact that already exists, so I can start typing in Beverly, our tried and true Beverly, so I can continue from there. Or if this contact doesn't exist in my account yet, I can create a new contact record here. And then when I go to continue here, you'll see that it goes straight into the invoice. So this is creating an invoice that is directly affiliated with this contact record in our account. So when I finish creating it, you'll see, I'm not gonna create one right now, but you'll see that once it's created, it's within that contact record. So I'm gonna go back into Beverly's contact record. That's hard to say sometimes. When I go here, I can see I have past acquisitions here as well as the proposal. Let me go back actually and go to Aurelie. And here you can see that I have shared with her several things, including an invoice. So whenever you share an invoice directly from your account to a contact record that's already in your account, it's going to have that information here. So I can always view this invoice directly from that contact record as well and see what was sent previously and any information kind of correlated with that. So like I said before, it is a relational platform. It's got that relational aspect that's kind of circular, talking to itself in a way. So anytime you create something and affiliate it or assign a contact record with it, it is recreating the information without you having to manually recreate it yourself. I think that about answers that one. See, we got a lot of different questions in here. Anything else, Lauren, that comes to mind?
Um, not that I've seen multiple times, but I am seeing so many questions coming in.
Yeah, actually, I see one now. Sorry to interrupt. I do see one that actually I'm pretty excited about that I want to answer. It's I'm going to click to answer live here for Carol. Carol asks, can we generate a down payment invoice for a commission? Yes, so that would be using the partial payment selection. So when I go back into, just to kind of showcase that, when I'm going back into sales pipeline invoices here, I'm going to go into new invoice. I love that we're just using Beverly, so I'm gonna continue to use Beverly. And then I'm gonna scroll down here to see that I can include partial payment. So this would be that down payment, Carol, that you're referring to. So I can say yes for that. And then when you do that, I'm gonna click cancel for now. So that's the kind of back end of allowing for partial payments. I'm gonna click on this one, for example, so you can see one that has been partially paid already. So this is one that I've allowed for online digital payment processing. So this client can pay via PayPal, debit, or credit card. This client can also send in a partial payment. So say we set up a payment plan and or a commission down payment. I have opted to allow for partial payments here. And so I can scroll down here and see that they've already paid 500 of the 1,000, and it will automatically calculate that for me. So I don't have to go in and be like, okay, this is easy math here. But if it was a more, difficult number, then I could easily just reference here to see what's remaining, and then know that I can set reminders for myself and or for the client to follow up with that last payment that I need to finalize this invoice. And you can also manually add the payment. So in your notes in your invoice, if you decide to include a section about, please mail checks to this address or please pay via Venmo here. If you don't want to use the digital payment processing, you can use whatever kind of external payment method you prefer. And then you can go in here and manually add a payment. So say once you've received that payment, you can update that here. And it will automatically update, of course, the information in the contact record and within the piece itself. So I'm going to go just to kind of reference that while I'm on the topic. I'm going to go to that piece record here. This is the one that I was just showing as sold. You can see the sales record. I've been referring to a sales record. It is within the piece itself as well, not just in the sales pipeline. So I can always reference that here. So I can see who it was sold to. I can also, these are clickable links. So I can click on the contact and kind of reference more details about this person, maybe see their past purchases along with this one. I can reference the invoice itself, and I can also invoice directly from within the piece record too. I can also edit the sale. I can view the sale details. So there's a lot of different points of entry for these things in these different features. So in the pieces and the contacts and the sales pipeline. So whatever kind of, flow makes the most sense for you and how you're operating. Okay, so let's see, I've answered that one. Anything else, Lauren, that you're seeing? If not, we're at the
Hi,
157 mark. Oh,
Lauren said there's a storm in Costa Rica right now where she's working from. So,
no. Okay, good to
yes,
know. Costa Rica is
yeah,
very stormy this time of year, so that's totally fine. I am going to oh, real quick, there's one more question I do
there's,
want to answer
yep.
before we get, so I know we're almost at time. So Jamie asks if I send them the invoice, it automatically creates them as a new contact.
Mhm.
Yes, if you create the contact when you can select either to select a previously created contact, but you would either have to select a previously created one or create one in order to create the invoice. So the system is kind of pushing it in that direction anyway, so that you're not accidentally creating a new contact. It'll let you know that you're either selecting a pre-selected contact that you've already created, or you're making a new contact record for this person to send this invoice. So that's how that would work. So I'm gonna say, we got a lot of questions here. I know we're just right at time. So thank you all so much for these fantastic questions. Oh, Lauren's got a really loud storm. I'm so sorry. Please stay safe. So we got about 29 questions that are left here. I know these are all really fantastic, in-depth questions. And so, like I said, this is a new feature for us. And this is a lot of questions. So we will follow up with you guys if your email address is associated with your question. And if not, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to talk with you further about any questions you have, any requests, any things you would like to see more of, or different kind of tools within the sales pipeline. So feel free to email us at team@artworkarchive.com, or you can also chat with us live. And real quick too, I want to share some free resources for you guys. So I'm sharing here, first of all, if you don't already have an account with us, I mentioned, this is for people who most likely already have an account, have already set up their stuff. But if you are brand new and this is kind of your first entry into Artwork Archive, I do want to share with you that we do provide or offer a 14-day free trial. So we don't take any payment details. There's no requirement for payment details upon getting a free trial. So you're not roped into a subscription. But of course, if you would like to subscribe after those 14 days, here is sort of the overall look. The one we went over today was an artist master account. So that is all of the features available that you saw today that we went over, plus many, many more that we did not touch on, but we do touch on in other webinars as well. And then, of course, if you reach the end of that 14 days and you're quite not sure, say you're still shopping around, feel free to reach out to us and let us know if you want a free trial extension. We are happy to offer that as well, because we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident in choosing us if you do so. And then I mentioned free resources. I want to share, these are all going to be clickable links that you'll receive in the follow-up email. So these are free guides for you. You don't have to have an account to access these. These are just for you to access whenever you like, if they're helpful for you. And then we also have a final slide here of resources to support your art career. So not only do we have those guides that I just showed you and webinars like this, we also have all of these resource centers. We have a help doc library that our team is constantly building and updating based on all these updates. We're constantly updating the platform based on your feedback, and we've been doing so for over a decade. So we're always busy making sure those are up to date and that you have the resources there to be able to use the platform to best suit your art practice. We also have newsletters, we have a blog, we have a fantastic Instagram account. If you're on Instagram, you should go and follow us if you don't already, because we have fantastic free resources and tips and tricks for artists, actively working artists there too, that I think you'll all find something there that is relatable that you can glean from. And of course, we have more webinars on our webinars page here. These are also clickable links that you'll get in the follow-up. So thank you guys so much for joining. This has been a fantastic, fantastic group that has joined us today. You've all been so engaged, and it's just been really fun, and I appreciate it. And I hope that you've gotten some really great information and maybe you feel inspired to start using these tools. And if you start using them and you want to share with us how you're using them in ways that are exciting or interesting, feel free. We don't necessarily need you to only respond to us with questions. You can also reach out to us if you just want to share, something you're interested in and exciting about for this new feature. So thank you all so much for joining, and we will see you next time. Have a great rest of the day, everybody.